would just quickly have this report that would usher us into the second discussion we're going to be having today. Let's have it.
Out-of-school children ease in Nigeria. Even though primary education is officially free and compulsory, about 10.5 million of the country's children aged 5 to 14 years are not in school. Only 61% of 6 to 11 years old regularly attend primary school, and only 35.6% of them aged 36 to 59 months receive early childhood education. In the northern parts of the country, the picture is even bleaker, with a net attendance rate of 53%. In northeastern and west-eastern states, 29% and 35% of Muslim children respectively receive Quranic education, which does not include basic skills such as literacy and numeracy. These children are called Al-Majiri. Al-Majiri, which is a Hausa word, means migrant. It may also mean a pilgrim or wanderer. It is a name given to those migrants who seek for Quranic knowledge in villages, towns, and cities in Hausa land. Literally, it means those tender age 4 to 18 years children who leave their families in the pursuit of Islamic education, particularly in northern Nigeria and some parts of West Africa. Regrettably, the Majiri culture has since outlived its purpose and has become a breeding ground for children begging and, in extreme cases, potential methods for recruitment into terrorist groups. The pupils who were meant to be trained to become Islamic scholars now struggle to cater for themselves. In 2012, the Jonathan administration reportedly spent around 15 billion naira to construct 157 Sangaya model schools in northern states. The initiative sought to bridge the gap between traditional Islamic and formal education, empowering Al-Majiri children with the skills and knowledge for a brighter future. However, these schools remain in poor condition due to inadequate maintenance, poor state government funding, and limited acceptance by the intended beneficiaries. The federal government, in yet another drive to tackle the seemingly intractable issue of street begging by children, inaugurated the National Commission for Al-Majiri and Out-of-School Children Education. The act came into effect in May 2023. Among other things, the Commission is charged with the responsibility of formulating policy and issuing guidelines on matters related to Al-Majiri education and out-of-school children, provide funds for research and personal development for the improvement of Al-Majiri education, construct classroom and other facilities relating to Al-Majiri education. Recently, the federal government's 2 million Al-Majiri children have been lifted from the street and enrolled in schools and Arabic literacy programs to acquire basic education and vocational training. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, stated these are the maiden quarterly citizens and stakeholders engagement in Nigerian education sector ministerial deliverables. Yet the mechanism established by the Ministry for Intergovernmental Relations had helped in building public-private partnerships, brought about an increment in school enrollment, transition and completion for learners, especially those with disabilities. Maman, who noted that the reduction of out-of-school children in Nigeria was one of the major focus of the current administration, gave assurances that before the end of the year, many more children out of school will be brought back to acquire learning and skills. While lamenting that students were receding into illiteracy, Maman said one way to address the learning crisis in the country was to infuse skills and digitization into the education system, beginning from primary schools. To this end, he said there's a need to review the curriculum to accommodate new teaching methods that gives room for skills and digitization.
Ongoing. It requires a lot of money, so the plans are still in place. Well, really, we don't want to talk about numbers here. The most important is that we are focused on it. We recognize it's a very major national issue, and the President has given it the type of importance and highlight it deserves. We are working on it. Intervention, which is to get form to use its emergency funds to fence that part of the university that has been the outlet for incursion by the bad guys, that institution.
We have already taken the data We have already taken the data, which is the data analysis of need assessment of the states. What we intend to do is to secure the entire host community, to build a security resilience of the host community, because the Safe Schools project is is a whole society approach. So all members of the community are stakeholders. Everybody is responsible, is a stakeholder. So we intend to build the security resilience of the host community and the entire schools community.
Welcome back to the studio. All right, gentlemen in the studio, we've seen the reports. It's quite a very high number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, and especially in the north, it has a larger number. And we've seen the federal government, we've seen different administrations, come in and try to do one or two to ease the numbers, And recently, the Minister of Education, Tahir Maman, came out to say they've enrolled over 2 million out-of-school children, Almajiri, and while he was speaking, he lamented that lack of policy implementation remains the issue in education. So he was saying that when he assumed office, when he was brought in, he met fantastic policies and reform programs on paper that never really translated into action. So he was of the opinion that this also part of what contributes to the large amount of out-of-school children we have in the country presently. Gentlemen, do we agree with the Minister of Education?
You see, to start with, we are a country that sometimes tend to want to build our houses from the rooftops. You see, the number that you are talking about, whether it's 13 or 20 or 15 million out-of-school kids, they emanate not from Abuja, they come from the communities. So it's a reflection of the dysfunctions at that very level, that basic level of societal organization. And each time government comes up with policies, the question is, what are the key drivers? Which agencies are the key drivers of these initiatives? It's a good thing the minister is talking about initiatives, blueprints to address the problem. But how can you talk of addressing the problem without the governors who preside over apart from unit schools that the federal government also try to have?
Yeah.
The federal government does not have a single primary school anywhere in the world. If you are talking about schools, primary schools is exclusively a business of local governments. Now, year in, year out, I was just reading the paper just now. Some people wrote a letter to our editor pages that their governments are misplacing priority. They are sending these people on pilgrimages, spending millions on pilgrimages, whereas people can't feed in the community. Northern governors all the northern governors, it's been said over and over that they should hide themselves, their heads in shame, because these numbers indict them more than any other structure. You can't have, we are talking of today, almost 70% of this number come from the north.
Yeah.
And the problem of insecurity is also largely a northern problem. Yes, we have some in the southeast and skirmish of, but the problem today is that some of the ones we have is that they are of a different nature from the one in the north today emanates from basic failure to get these kids primarily in school.
Oh, okay. Just in line with what you've said, 2012, Goodluck Jonathan came up with Almajiri School, an initiative to help just this issue we're talking about, to help this out-of-school children, at least place them.
You know why it will not work? You know why it will not work? You know why it will not work? It is not a federal. It is not a
federal business.
You look, it is the states that you start the initiative with federal support. You see, if you want to address a fundamental problem, let the state come up with their own solutions, okay? And then the federal government will now use some kind of like Marshall Plan support to back them up with measurable targets, milestones, and key performance indices. But you sit there in Abuja and you say you want to go build. There was a year in this country where Obasanjo built primary health care centers all over the country. Where are they today? The local government simply abandoned them. They went and built their own. You see, we must learn to do things properly. The northern governors should be able to come together and say, this is what we want. And these are the programs. Let me tell you, if they come up with such programs, even international donor organizations will also help them. So it's not about waiting. You see, you are talking about a big bureaucracy in Abuja. Those bureaucracies just to filter public money. The ideas should come from the grassroots.
Okay, so since the ideas are not coming from the northern governors, and we say that it's probably not a priority for them. Probably they have more important.
Then go and bring ideas from Abuja and it will not work. They will take the money. Okay, today we have what's called universal basic education.
Yeah.
Now the whole idea is that any state government that has a program, they can access these funds on payment of 50%. The federal government will pay the counterpart fund. The whole idea is that the identified problem must be local. Okay.
Yeah.
In other words, you want to address a local problem, and then once you and then you go to Abuja, Abuja will say, okay, we'll help you do this. Now, the money from it is counterpart funding. Let these states begin to own the problem. If a state like Jigawa knows the number of the school children it wants to bring back into classroom, let them come up with the program and say this is what we want to do. And then let them roll out a budget, and the international community and the federal government can look at the gaps, the funding gaps, and say, okay, based on this, and then we can now partner with you. But so long as you see, it's part of this sharing thing, this idea of sharing. Federal government sits down in Abuja and does this. It will never work. I wish them luck. They will come up with beautiful programs, but until the states actually own the problem and seek the solutions that they know will address the problem, we will see it up. 10 years ago, I wrote an editorial on 10 million out of school kids.
Yes.
2 years ago, I wrote an editorial on 13 million out of school kids. So in other words, before the first one I wrote and this they had increased by 3 million.
3.
Who knows what?
It continues to grow every year. In fact, the problem is also that it is now becoming a national problem. It used to be.
Which is why the federal government.
It used to be if you allow that, exclusive reserve of the north. But now, east, west, and south.
Yes.
We have that problem. Because gradually, rightly or wrongly, people are beginning to say that maybe education is not helping them. Therefore, they don't want to go to school, or people are deliberately not sending their children to school. The problem we have in the north is people are deliberately, or some set of people are deliberately not sending their children to school. But because don't let us make a mistake, the elite there send their children to school. They go to the UK, they go to the US and so on to go and read, but they would rather send the children, other people, to Almajiri school. But down here in the west, south, and east, it is the issue of maybe people are saying that, maybe Mr. So and so, all the children went to the university, they are jobless. You go and do something, don't go to school, go and do this and do that. Then we have a lot of out-of-school children. But as he has said, until the governors begin to understand that and also give the local government the ability to work. Local government, the primary school is the business of local government. It's not even the state government. It is the business of local government. What the state government does is to give them guidelines. But we have a situation where the local government itself has been so bastardized that the local government chairman will complain that all what they have is just money to pay salaries and other things. They don't have money. You will see a local government office is here. A primary school is next door. And you will weep and you ask yourself, is it that the chairman of this local government doesn't pass through this place to his office on a daily basis? The roofs are leaking, the walls are falling down and all that. If you cannot take care of the small one, how can you take care of the big one? Everybody is running to establishing private universities now. We have neglected primary school.
Where will they come from?
Where will they come from? Where will they come from? Those who are making it today made it because they have sound primary school education. Look, education is like you are building a house. You want to build a bungalow.
the foundation you are going to lay is going to be different from when you want to build a skyscraper.
Yes.
But if you have a poor foundation and you think it is the university level or the secondary school level you are going to correct it, it won't work. We have neglected so much of the things that, we, as a friend says, we have majored in minors. What we should concern ourselves with is not what we concern ourselves. Primary school education is the most basic, the most important. Yeah. It is where
the building block.
Exactly, it is where your whole education foundation is formed. And when you neglect it, you have not done anything.
Even the notion of civic education.
Yes.
You see, when we were growing up, we learned civics in primary school. How to do things, you know, even crossroad, you know, those basic things.
Where to throw debts and all those
That's
things.
where you learn it from. All those building blocks of citizenship, that's where you learn it from. The other day I went to my village. The primary school I attended, I couldn't believe that was the same school that produced me. But those ones were lucky because if you almost got together, I would say, no, we won't allow you to collapse. Because if you have to wait for government, that place, one day we just go there and we took it over. And the school's been running. In fact, all the private schools around that area now, they've surrendered their kids to the government school there only because of people took an interest. You see, until all of us as individuals, because these are community issues all over the world. Some years back, before this man died, Governor Ajibobi,
yes,
he did something that was remarkable in Oyo State. Although those schools were owned by government, he ensured that every school, secondary school particularly, that they had board of governors, they were chosen from the community. So those ones, apart from the inspectors at the government level,
yes,
they had community people running the schools themselves. They were not paid by government, they were volunteers, and they could complain, teacher, you didn't come to work on time. Until we begin to take interest in all our primary schools and get our local government chair people to go and look at what is happening there, we won't even begin. So federal government can come up with initiatives. I have no problem with that. That there's a need for a lot of funding, but sometimes all those funds will be filtered away if you do not have a proper structure that is ready to actually move the sector forward. For now, all I see is people mouthing platitudes.
So are we also saying that the National Commission for Nigeria and Out of School Children that was inaugurated last year, so are we saying nothing might?
No, I didn't say that.
No.
But a bureaucracy,
because it's also
that ends up consuming more funds than the problem is meant to solve is a dysfunctional bureaucracy, and that has been a problem in Nigeria.
Exactly.
You set up a bureaucracy.
They get offices here and there.
ED, Director of Finance, Director of Logistics, Director of Operations. By the time you list all of these big bloated offices, the amount voted for the operations itself is what is left to do the actual work.
The actual work is gone.
It's gone.
All right. So what's the way forward now? Because now looking, the focus being on the north.
Yes.
I think I would also, I don't know, but I could also say it's kind of like traditional aspect of it comes in, and probably also religious, because if you want to date it back, you know, there's this the whole Almajiri thing wasn't the way it was in the past. Yes, you have someone tell you that way back in the past it was not like this. You know, the children were well taken care of.
It's not religious. It's not religious.
Okay.
It's just cultural.
Okay, culture.
Islam encourages education.
Education.
In fact, knowledge for its own sake. So let's leave that. It is the culture, and of course, politicians also enjoy when you have all those
people milling around you.
It's pure culture. It has nothing to do with religion. No, it has nothing to do with it. Like I said, the way forward is very simple. Let's start with the communities. Let the communities themselves own the problem. These children come from homes. In my own community, it's not possible not to have a child that will not go to school. Where will you be? Secondly, let the state governments begin to think of a way out of these problems. In Lagos State, for instance, I'm aware there's a law now.
Yes.
That if you are caught during school hours hawking
whatever on the road,
they will follow you home and pick you up. The parents will go to jail.
Yeah.
In the north, they can begin to do that. Okay? And then
I mean,
this
you know,
this
so we
this
have
order
children
this
from
order
different states.
traditional. You see, the problems.
Those children are coming from different
Yeah, no,
states.
the problems are peculiar. So that's why you have to devise local solutions to local problems. For instance, in Lagos now, you can't see a header, you know, during no, it's not likely to be in Lagos, but you see it in the north.
Yeah.
So every community, that's why everybody must own the problem. When you own the problem, then the government can come in. The state governments have a larger role to play in this matter. First and foremost, to ensure that those local governments are made to work, particularly their education units, they are made to work to address this problem. No child should be out of school during school hours. Canada state government tried something that was unique, that almost worked to a point, when they introduced lunch into their school system. Unfortunately, part of the problem is that the children will come as soon as they finish the lunch, they leave. That is a human problem. It can be addressed. You delay the lunch until after the school is almost ready to you know, you can always find things around it. So the whole idea is that you must create incentives for children to want to stay in school. When we were growing up, there were so many activities in school that helped you. You wanted to see them.
You want to go to school.
You want to be creative. If these children, you want to do their Quranic education after school, put it after school. If that's what they love doing, when they finish the formal, let them start the informal, so that you blend them beautifully, so that at the end of the day, no child is left behind. That's the whole idea. And the key, as I said again, let the communities own the problem. When the communities properly own the problem, they can now force their elected officials to begin to look at the problems with a view to solving them ultimately. But in federal grants at the top, or a federal program at the top, imposed on the local solution, you end up creating massive behemoth of bureaucracies that will not solve the problem.
You know, in all this, as we said, that in the north, if you integrate that Islamic or Quranic learning, as he has said, Islam encourages education. In fact, there are in history, the first sort of science and so on happened in the East. So what they need to do is let us get a point where you can